I'm about to talk on this podcast.
Yeah, you can.
All right.
Yeah, it's fine. All right, we are live. We're watching the X-1 World Events. Number 49, 8-man tourney. Guess they have some kind of tournament going on. I'm joined right now by my boy Bo.
How's it going?
Yashu. What's up, man?
Not much, man. Just enjoyed watching some fights.
Yeah, how's the UFC ones? Yeah, we enjoyed those.
Yeah, the UFC fights were good. It's kind of hard to talk about that card without talking about what happened with it.
Yeah. With
I
Connor.
With everything. I mean, going back to a week ago,
Yeah.
what everyone thought was a horrible April Fool's joke.
Turned out not to be.
Yeah, Tony getting injured. A fight that everyone's been wanting to see for a long time, Khabib and Tony Ferguson.
Yep.
Got canceled, unfortunately.
For the fourth time, right?
Yeah, fourth time. And it's 2-2. Khabib
cursed.
canceled twice, and Tony canceled twice.
That's so nuts.
Yeah, so I mean, and then you had the whole incident with Connor. Of course, props to Hawaii's own Max Holloway for stepping up.
Yeah, man. Max, definitely. I wasn't there, so I don't know how his weight cut was going, but he felt confident about the weight cut, and I think when they called it, he was at 159.6 is what I heard. And I mean, that's still 4 more pounds, but I think he would have been able to do it. I don't know how good he would have been afterwards, but I think Max being Max, he'll scrap anybody at anywhere, anytime. Doesn't matter.
You should have tried to pull a DC and use a towel.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's the commission's job to protect the fighters.
Yeah.
If they felt that he couldn't make, or cut that amount of weight in a couple of hours, I mean, that's their job.
Safety of the fighters, I definitely think is the most important thing. But I really would have loved to see that fight, as is everybody else. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been a great fight. Unfortunately, it didn't go through. But again, props to him for taking that fight on short notice.
Yeah, he fucking
6 days to fight one of the most feared light heavyweights in the world.
Yeah, nuts, bro.
I'm sorry, lightweights in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. Killing it.
Yeah. So I mean, it was definitely an interesting card. I mean, Al stepped up on short notice to fight him. Less than 1 day. Notice, and he actually did pretty well considering everything.
Yeah, I was a little surprised that Khabib wasn't able to take him down as much as in the third, fourth, fifth rounds. But at the same time, I think Khabib was really toying with him and just wanting to beat him at stand up because he could. I don't think there was anything too much that Raging Al could have done different, other than like maybe just go balls to the wall and really try to put him away real quick. But that fight was really one-sided, and he was beating him up with jabs. I don't think there was anything else he could have done to give him an edge. I mean, he's just outclassed.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't even close. It was a great performance by him to be able to survive 5 rounds for one.
Yeah.
I mean, Khabib had him in a couple compromising positions, close to finishing some rear naked chokes.
Oh yeah.
Definitely had some spots where he did some good ground and pound.
Yeah.
But he was able to weather all of it.
Yeah, he was. Now one thing I was really surprised by was his submission defense.
Yes.
Like his ground game was actually not half bad, and we're talking about it's that split second twist when you're on the ground, you get taken down, you get mounted, or you're about to get choked out by Khabib, this beast that's on top of you. And that split second thinking that he had, he was just real quick and easy, and he got out of most of the stuff that he put him in. And I think he, in that aspect, he gave him a run for his money. But
I think so as well. But I mean, it's not to be understated either of Khabib going through pretty much 3 different opponents as well in 1 week.
Yeah, and the whole thing with Conor, with the dolly coming through, I don't think that had, it may have had some effect on him, but I don't think it was anything detrimental to this fight. That I don't think it would have turned out any different. Maybe it would have ended faster.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it probably could have ended faster, but I mean, he was preparing for Tony, who's definitely way different striker than Al. Al's definitely more of a traditional boxer.
Yeah.
Versus Tony likes to throw those wild, looping kicks. He likes to pull guard. He likes to do some funky things.
Oh yeah.
And that's definitely a different opponent than what he prepared for. And even Max, like for up to 6 days prior, he's thinking he's gonna fight Max on tonight, and next thing you know, he's fighting more of a boxer. Yeah,
and each fighter that he went from, that was the new opponent, was completely different from each other. Max has a different style. Ferguson has a different style. Even Al has a different style, and he was training for a wrestler. So that's, I think, I think it would have ended a lot faster if Al would have been training for a different opponent, and he didn't have that kind of training. So I think it was a good card overall. With considering everything that happened, I think it was a great card, and they pulled it off. And I'm happy that we got to watch something fun.
Yeah, you want to talk about some of the other fights? Rose and Joanna?
Fuck, dude. Rose, Joanna, that was a war.
It was a war, for sure.
That was a fucking war, man. I give everybody props, and I think Rose really shut up everybody that may have thought different. There was a fluke. It was just, she got caught. But this one was a full 5 minutes. It proves that she can go 5 minutes, first of all. Second of all, that she can hold her own against a world champion Muay Thai fighter. I mean, world class Muay Thai, and she held her own and fucking demolished. I think what we had it scored was 2-2.
Yeah, 2-2 going into the final round.
Yeah, in the last round, Rose, sank it in. But I think the judges scored that a little bit different, right?
Yeah, I mean, they had it 49, 46 for Rose, which I thought was kind of funky.
Yeah.
Most people had it 2-2 going to the final. No robbery, obviously. I mean, both fighters fought great. I definitely think Rose won. I personally wanted Joanna to win, but regardless, they both showed great heart.
Yeah.
Rose definitely showed her improvement in striking.
Oh, for sure.
And, I mean, consider she's only 25.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for her to going forward, I mean, she's only going to improve.
Oh, for sure, man. And she's so young, like you said, and she has her whole life ahead of her, her whole career ahead of her, really, and she's just getting started. She's not even at the peak of her, and she's champion now. Like, she's not even at her peak, and I think it's insane.
Do you think part of that has to do with the fact that the division's relatively new?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, but I also think that kind of what happened with Ronda. Ronda was there at the very beginning, right? And she was dominant. But once you get to the point of opening the world up, opening the UFC up to the entire world of female fighters at that weight class, you get this new caliber of fighter that you never saw before. Once somebody gets an opportunity, and I think Rose, captured that opportunity, and she's just a different fighter than Joanna. Joanna was so dominant. And I think, she still has the possibility of beating her, but I don't think there's going to be a trilogy now.
I don't think so either.
I mean, maybe in the future when she gets back up the ladder.
Yeah, she's going to have to knock off a few people to get back there, but the thing is, I don't think, because she already beat Carolina.
Yeah.
She beat Carla. And I don't think there's really much. She's kind of stuck in that limbo, almost like Stephen Thompson.
Oh, yeah.
Where she lost her champ twice.
Yeah.
But no one else is better than her.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right, for sure.
So, I mean, we'll see how that plays out. I'm not sure who they're going to match Rose up with against next, but maybe Carolina, because she just won. And she also has a win over Rose already.
That's going to be insane.
Yeah, Carolina definitely showed some good improvement in her striking as well.
Yeah.
What about what was the Zabib?
Oh, bro. How's that guy, bro?
Zabib. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name because
I had it down a second ago.
Because I can't pronounce it. But another
Russian beast.
Another Russian. Just amazing striking. He's pretty much the opposite of Habib.
Yeah.
I think just what Habib does grappling wise, he does striking wise.
Yeah.
So fluid, so just
fucking
on top
kicks.
of it. Yeah, his
Oh
kicks,
my God.
amazing.
It's so insane. Oh, you got the choke right there. Oh, rear naked. You got him.
He's got a deep,
oh,
and it's done.
Tap. Oh, no. Saved by the bell.
Oh, really?
Oh, saved by the bell.
Oh, yeah, I can't see the timer on there.
Yeah, there's no timer on the live stream. And right now, I mean, we might be able to put a timer on for ourselves. But, yeah, this is X-1 World Events, number 49, live stream. You can see it down in the picture-in-picture view for each one of us. We're streaming the same thing. So we're watching this fight after UFC 223. Oh,
yeah, definitely interesting concept. I mean, we haven't seen a tournament concept in a while. I know Bellator is doing their own heavyweight Grand Prix.
yeah.
But as far as UFC, I mean, we haven't seen a UFC tournament in a long time.
Yeah. Closest thing to it is probably Ultimate Fighter, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Ultimate Fighter for
That's
sure.
about it.
But nothing as far as actual championship
UFC,
tournaments.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like he was saved by the bell because they're about to
Yep, here they go.
kick off the next round.
Bro, these guys are beasts, bro. Hawaii's finest.
Yeah, definitely some good Hawaii people on this card, some young up-and-comers.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, back to 155. Was there anyone else that impressed you as far as who fought today?
Bro, I think everybody that was on this card, I don't think there was a slow fight. Every single card was just stacked. Even the prelims, I had fun. I usually don't enjoy watching the prelims unless there's like some really good names on there that I'm excited to watch. I was excited about each and every one of these ones, and I think I'm definitely gonna. They made some new fans for sure.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't the worst pay-per-view.
No, definitely wasn't. So I'm definitely enjoying everything that UFC put out and put together despite Connor ruining 3 matches.
I know we missed out Ray Borg. We missed out
lacerations to his cornea.
Yeah, definitely. Even Michael Chiesa, he's one of my favorite fighters.
Yeah, mine too.
You know, hopefully UFC. I know UFC said that they'll pay them their show money, which is good. But
yeah.
I mean, we'll see how those guys go after Connor. I mean,
do you think Connor's gonna get sued, or do you think he's gonna fight again this year?
I think he should get sued. I mean, if I was a fighter that got injured by his attack and it cost me not only the fight, I mean, granted they get their show money, but it you know, say a win for either of those guys could, you know, lead to.
Oh yeah.
You know, them way up in the standings.
Yeah, yeah. It definitely set him back, and with Ray Borg in that cornea laceration, I'm really interested to see how he's going to be in the future, because he might have ended his career. Well, I mean, only time will tell.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Michael Bisping, he can kind of fight with that. He's basically blind in one of his eyes.
It's amazing they allow him to fight.
I know, yeah.
Like, I'm not sure, like, I don't know any commission that should allow a fighter that's blind in one eye to fight.
Yeah, especially if he gets hit again in that area, he's done. Like, that, the eyeball's done.
Exactly.
So that's pretty crazy.
But yeah, I mean, we'll see how those injuries go. I mean, Chiesa's isn't as bad because there's just, you know, facial lacerations.
Yeah, those are healed, but he couldn't fight with those.
Yeah, obviously, because that would be a target for, you know, Pettis.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I think that we'll have to see how the courts play out first.
Yeah.
I think he'll definitely have a lot on his plate. We'll see as far as criminal charges where that goes.
Yeah. He's due back, I think, June 14th.
Yes, June 14th.
I saw the court proceedings for that, and he was charged 50 bail or 50 pay, and then his teammate or buddy was charged half that. And they got to return June 14th. But part of the lawyer's deal, I mean, I'm surprised, like, there's no restraining order against, you know, Khabib. I was surprised by that. It was just the ones that got injured, really.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that sets it up for Russia. Conor.
Yeah, that'd be a great card.
That'd be awesome. And Max, too. I want to see Max fight.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a restraining order just because it's two people that aren't even citizens of the United States. To be honest.
Oh, fair enough. I never thought about that. Yeah, okay.
You know,
that could be it. Yeah, they don't really have anything here.
Yeah, I mean,
that a foreigner could.
Habib's gonna go back to Russia, and then Conor.
Fair enough. You know what? That was a dumb moment on my part. I didn't even think about that.
But I'm surprised. I mean, they definitely barred him probably from the UFC events.
They didn't. So they didn't during the court proceedings. The lawyer was like, "Well, they have competition. Are we still able to set this to June 14th instead of like any other time that was not, good for them both because they still have competition." So when I heard competition in the court proceedings, I was like, well, are they saying like he's going to fight again like sometime soon? And he doesn't.
I mean, possibly, but I think it's more for his teammate that they're talking about, because I know he's fighting over in
Ireland.
No, he's fighting in the U.S. because I mean he'd have to have it could be Ireland as well.
Oh.
But I mean, I'm sure he has a fight date set up if he's a teammate of Conor's.
He is a teammate of Conor's, but I didn't think, because the person that posed that question about competition was Conor's lawyer, not Crowley.
Gotcha.
Crowley's lawyer. I mean, Crowley's lawyer agreed to it. I'm sure whoever said it first, maybe it's not necessarily anything to indicate that it's Conor that has competition coming up. I mean, Dana was pretty pissed at Conor for the whole thing, so I don't know if he's going to be getting. But that's the biggest name in UFC right now. You know, I fucking hate what he did, but I think as a business standpoint, I think Dana's going to brush this off.
I think so as well. I mean, you figure they employed Paulo Thiago for the longest time, and he was pretty much almost arrested for beating and almost killing his wife.
Yeah, that was nuts, bro. That was crazy. But
compared to that, what Conor did isn't even remotely close.
Yeah, I mean, it cost a lot more money.
It did for sure.
For everybody.
For sure.
People flew in for those. Some of those fans flew in for those fights, and they didn't get it. But
yeah. So where do we see Khabib going next? Do you think he's gonna match up with anyone in particular?
Oh man, I think the whole Max thing was a one-off.
I think so as well. I think Max's next fight's probably going to be against Ortega.
Yeah, Brian Ortega during International Fight Week. And then, I mean, Embiid didn't really get damaged at all during this fight.
He looked like he'd go another 5 rounds.
Yeah, right now, like right after that fight. So I don't know who would line up with him really. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, you could try Ferguson again, but I doubt that they're going to set that up just because this is the fourth time already, and I think Dana's wasted so much money, and he's kind of pissed off. And if it happens in the future, it happens. But I think that's going to be a rare occurrence. I think they're going to set that up only.
And I don't think the matchup will with Conor either, just because they're going to wait to see how the legal process takes place.
Sure. Because he could still go to jail.
Exactly. But, and I'm sure, like I said, on top of the legal proceedings from New York, I'm sure he'll have to do with civil suits from, the fighters affected.
Yeah. Each one is going to probably have its own. I mean, they're probably going to throw it all into one court proceeding, like court case. But I think they may end up doing it all, separately. Everybody who got injured, they may have a separate court proceeding for each one, because each one probably has different injuries, different terms, different charges. So they might end up doing something like that.
I mean, I think that's probably what's going to happen, and I think he settles out of court with all of them.
That's fair enough. Yeah, I agree.
So it looks like Ray Borg's probably going to be a millionaire.
Probably, yeah. Red panty night.
Yeah, pretty much.
For
not
not
having a fight. But Habib actually called out GSP in this post-fight speech.
Yeah. I don't know if GSP would do that. I'm not sure. I mean, he came in against Michael Bisping, which I didn't think he really was. I thought that was a bad move for him. But when I saw his performance, I was pleasantly surprised.
I mean, he talked a little bit about doing 155 for a bit. Obviously, there's some details to be worked out as far as weight classes. If it'd be something at 170, which I'm sure he'd be able to make.
Right.
GSP was a long time 170 person. Or 155, because even GSP said himself that, hey, maybe I'd think about doing 155.
Yeah. He might. He might drop down, but he'd be a really big 155er.
He would be. But with weight cutting nowadays, they have it down to a science pretty much.
They do. Yeah, that's true.
And who knows how GSP is as far as physical abilities after battling that disease he had.
Yeah.
The illness.
Yeah. Didn't he almost die?
Yeah, he had to. I don't remember off the top of my head what the disease exactly was, but it was pretty severe. I mean, it made him drop the belt, relinquish the belt.
Did you know he thought he was abducted by aliens?
Really?
Yeah,
he
came out. Yeah, he straight up was like, I think he was on the Joe Rogan podcast and he was talking about aliens.
GSP?
Yeah, talking about. You know what? I can pull it up here. Let me see what it is. We're gonna close out of. Actually, we don't need to yet. I'm gonna find this.
Man, Joe Rogan's podcast is just great.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Just the variety of guests he has, not only just MMA people, but just science people as well.
Yeah. I don't want to get.
That's fine. I'll take your word for that. He actually said it. But that's definitely interesting. GSP is definitely a different cat. Like,
oh, for sure.
Even when he first stepped away from the sport a couple years ago.
Oh yeah.
The stuff he was talking about how he was in a dark place, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows if that's from just the daily grind of being an MMA fighter or a celebrity, or if that was from injuries caused by actually fighting for all those fights.
Yeah.
I mean, but to be honest, compared to other fighters, GSP didn't take a lot of hits.
True. That yeah. I mean, he was beating people up with jabs for the longest time. Yeah. That audio's still playing. He was still beating people up with his jabs. What was it? Koscheck?
Yeah, Koscheck was definitely a jab fest.
That was a good one.
Condit, same thing.
Carlos Condit, yeah.
You know, so a lot of his fights were predicated on being able to establish jab, wrestling, that sort of thing. So, I mean,
Yeah.
compared to the wars some of the other fighters have been in, such as Robbie Lawler, Nick Diaz, Nate Diaz, you know, he really didn't take as much damage. So I don't think it's really something as far as...
What do you think Nick and Nate Diaz's next fights are? I think Nate... Or no, Nick Diaz, didn't he get his boxing license, or was that Nate?
I think Nate got his boxing license.
Nate, and he's going to be going up against, I guess there's already a person that they have lined up for him, supposedly.
Well, I mean, we'll see how that pans out just because of the fact that UFC does hold the rights for any combat sports. So we'll see if they'll agree to something like they did with Conor, which I don't think they will.
See, they do, but I don't know if he's still under contract. Is Nate still under contract?
Nate is still under contract for sure.
I thought he got, because of his suspension, he got a lifelong suspension because of his last thing.
Not that I know of. He's not suspended at all.
I thought he was.
Well, he was actually offered an interim fight, welterweight fight against RDA. But he turned down.
He turned it down?
Yeah, he turned it down.
I thought it was different.
So before they offered it to Covington,
Oh shit, he's
or I'm sorry, I don't know if it was RDA or if it was Woodley at the time.
Yeah.
But whoever was the champion, they offered him a welterweight fight, and he turned it down.
Well,
I mean, obviously he's eyeing that money fight with Conor, the trilogy.
Yeah.
So I think now that Conor's not the champion, I think that's the next fight they make for Conor.
The trilogy?
I think they, you know, it's like...
Dana wasn't really into that.
Dana's into money, I'm sure he'll be into it.
He is, but well, maybe now that Conor did this, I think maybe they might actually make that fight.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that was holding up was him being the title, title holder.
Yeah.
And Nate Diaz didn't really deserve at the time to be a,
I don't know why,
title challenger.
I think he should have.
Well, it's because you had to be on that crazy win streak, and you had Tony Ferguson.
Yeah.
I mean, in that title picture, Nate's definitely the third person on that list.
True.
So now that he's, Conor's not the champion, I think they make that fight as a way to boost Conor's stock before fighting either Khabib or maybe going to 170.
Yeah. You think either drop back down or Max will go up to get Conor?
I think he's going to go up regardless of who's champion at 155. I think he's going to definitely take the Ortega fight. Depending on how Edgar pans out, maybe the Edgar fight. But after that, I mean, he's pretty much cleaned up that division.
Yeah.
Except for Zabib.
Yeah, except for Khabib.
I definitely think that division is interesting. I do want to see Zabib and Yair Rodriguez.
That's going to be sick. And he called him out, too, at the end of his victory speech. He just called him out. Yair Rodriguez.
Yeah, so if he can beat Yair, maybe match him up with someone like a Cub
Swanson. Oh, dude, that'd be sick.
Yeah, I think Cub's fighting Edgar next.
That'd be a sick fight.
So if the timelines align, you could do Zabib versus Yair, and the winner faces the winner of Cub and Edgar. Although we've seen Edgar and Yair before.
Right.
And then whoever fights that, or whoever wins that fights Max Holloway.
I think that's the fight to make.
And I think after that, if Max, cleans out that division, I definitely think he'll do 155 because he's still young as well.
Yeah.
He can still add on muscle mass, that sort of thing.
Right.
Definitely has the height, definitely has the reach to be successful at 155. I don't know how he'd do against someone like Tony or someone like Khabib. Because you think those guys could probably, fight at 170 if they wanted to.
Oh, for sure. I mean, they're pretty big at their weight class now. I mean, they're bigger than some of their opponents that's ranked right now.
Mm-hmm. So I would think that's Max's probably the next path is to at least definitely the Ortega fight first.
Who do you think's gonna win during the next TJ Cody?
I'm gonna say Cody. I think
Yeah.
Cody got a bit too cocky last fight.
Yeah. I think he let his emotions get to him.
That as well. I think he's gonna be a little bit more under control.
Yeah.
I think definitely he'll do a better job.
Although during the press conference, looks like TJ was the one that was shit talking. I think maybe the tables have turned a little bit, and I think I think Cody is the calm one. Although TJ ended up like pulling him into an argument, and I think he got into his head a little bit. So We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. What's another fight that's coming up?
We got Miocic and DC.
Oh yeah, dude.
To be to be completely clear, we both don't like DC at all.
Yeah, I don't.
Just because I'm a huge John Jones fan. And I never liked DC to begin with. Just punching a man while he's down in John Jones. And also calling yourself the real champ when you clearly got defeated twice.
Yeah, for sure. He got demolished, and like steroids or not, like he got demolished, and he would get demolished no matter what. But I think like a lot of people are on the side of that. It was accidental on this last one. I mean, Joe Rogan kind of subscribed to that, and a couple other people kind of subscribed to that. That are in the know. They think that it was just accidental, and he truly didn't take it. I wonder if it was like a tainted water bottle or something.
Possibly, could
That'd be interesting. Somebody fucking with them.
It could have been for sure.
Conspiracy stuff.
I don't know about someone messing with him, but it could have been similar to the Canelo thing recently, where.
Oh yeah, where it was the meat.
Yeah, it was tainted meat. I don't know what it'd be tainted, but I mean, it's kind of hard to. I mean, logically, if you're a normal person, not someone that's hardcore into MMA, you think most of the chances of someone having a tainted supplement twice, because that was his defense prior.
Yeah, but you'd think that so if it was, he knew he was getting tested. He knew when he was getting tested. He wouldn't touch the shit, right? You'd think that well, nobody in his right mind. He's sitting there talking big to DC during his press conference. I'm clean as fuck. Like, look at my body. I'm ripped, and then ends up popping for it, like, unless he's like really that stupid, which I don't think he is. I don't think John Jones is that stupid.
Yeah, I don't think so either. It's definitely if you think of it as like a logically, I mean, why would you take something when you know you're gonna get tested the fight, that week of the fight?
Yeah, and he wasn't. The thing was, he didn't pop for any of the previous ones. He didn't pop for the one after. It was the one the night of, or the night before.
Yeah, which is also why I think that the proceedings are taking so long. I mean, it's been 8 months since the testing occurred. So since then, we've been waiting to hear a verdict. I definitely think he'll get suspension. I don't think it will be.
I think they'll. Do you think they're going to factor in time served already?
Oh, of course. They always factor in time served. I think they're going to either hand out a 1 or 2 year suspension. If it's 1 year, he'll be eligible to fight this year. If it's 2, obviously it'll be next year.
Yeah.
But even then, when he gets reinstated, where does he go from there? I think a lot depends on that Miocic and DC fight.
Yeah.
As well as Brock Lesnar returning.
Ooh, dude, Brock Lesnar coming in. DC, you saw DC's face after he
DC.
He was so scared, dude.
I don't know if it was him being scared or him celebrating the payday.
No.
Brock Lesnar always pulls big numbers.
Yeah, but Stipe was excited for it. He's like, all right, I'll fight anybody. I don't care. Because somebody asked, like, oh, what do you think about Brock? But DC's reaction, he was like, come on, man. Really? He's not coming in. I'm not gonna be fighting him. He's like, come on. And then Dana was like, well, there's a possibility, and he was like, what? What the fuck?
Yeah, DC is definitely is gonna have his hands full with Miocic to begin with before he even thinks about fighting Brock.
Yeah, and they just came off their was it Ultimate Fighter Stipe versus Team Stipe versus DC? Yeah.
So
do you know when that airs? By any chance?
I think they just said the commercial is April.
Oh, it's later this month. That'd be sick.
So sometime towards the end of April.
Okay.
I think we both think Miocic is gonna win.
Oh, fuck yeah.
And I don't think it's even gonna be close either.
It's gonna be fun watching DC. I mean, I've kind of gained a little bit more respect for DC.
I haven't.
Just only for me because I think with he's taken a lot. He wears his heart on his sleeve, but I think he's fake a little bit, and he wants to be the good guy. And then he talks a lot of shit still yet, and I don't know. I'm concentrating on this fight right now. Sorry, I'm zoning out.
You're fine. I mean, personally, I can't speak to him. I've never met him in my life. But from what I hear, people.
Ooh. Nut shot. Yeah, nut shot right there.
From what I hear, people can't say enough good things about him.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I get that.
I think that I think he lost the fight against Gustafsson.
Yeah.
I think he got trounced by Jones twice. I think Anthony Johnson, if he didn't try to wrestle him in the second round or in the second fight,
Yeah.
could have maybe beat him. But other than that, I mean, what else has he done?
Well, when he beat Anderson Silva, that's one thing that pissed me off is he
That's
laid
right.
on top of him. He fucking just laid on top of him. If that was a 5-round fight, oh, DC would be done because his legs were getting torn up and he was doing those body shots, and Anderson was just destroying. Like the last minute of that third round, or was it? It was 3 rounds, right?
Yeah, it was a 3 round
It was
fight because
three
it was a
rounds.
non-championship fight.
Yeah, but yeah, okay, yeah. If it was 5 rounds, I think Anderson would have fucked them up. It would have been done because he started coming back at the last little bit, using his kicks again. Because he felt after his leg incident, he didn't want to really throw any kicks, so he's using every other thing. And then last minute, he was starting to throw those kicks, and DC was not liking them. And all he did is lay on top of him, man. Like it's boring, and I don't, separate from it being boring, I think
I mean,
he just wanted to survive.
He did, but you can't fight can't fight. I'm sorry.
Can't fault the fighter.
Can't fault a fighter for wanting to do what wins. I mean, look at a perfect example is Woodley against Maya.
Yeah.
You know, everyone was booing him.
Of course, that was a shitty fight.
It was a shitty fight, but
especially the least amount of strikes ever, wasn't that?
yeah, it was the least amount of significant strikes ever.
Yeah, not even significant. Thrown.
If you're a fighter and that's your main source of income, and that's what provides food for you and your family, wouldn't you want to try to keep that position as long as possible?
No, I hear you for sure, but I think also you'd want to keep your job as long as possible. So having boring fights also doesn't really. There's ways you can still fight up your game and be the best. I just don't think it's wise to scoot on by. Otherwise, because you're building your brand. You're an independent contractor as a fighter, right?
Yes.
So as an independent contractor, it's like if you worked freelance and you put out shitty work. Well, people aren't gonna want to see you anymore. So you're not gonna get the big money that you keep demanding from the organization that you're freelancing for, or you're an independent contractor. They're not going to pay you what you think you're worth if you're not going to be able to put out. If you're just going to sit there and scoot by and just do whatever it can, like win by points. That's what I hate about jiu-jitsu tournaments sometimes is people just win by points, and it's lack of skill, but I don't know, it's just frustrating. Coming from like me who has fought, I obviously don't like getting hit. Nobody does, I don't think, as a fighter, but you try to improve the best you can, and just do what you can to be entertaining for a crowd, because I mean that's your source of income. Nobody wants to put you on a card again, even if you're under contract, if you're a boring fighter.
Well, yeah, that's why Dana said he'll never have Woodley headline a fight again.
Exactly. So I mean, that kind of shows if you want to scoot by, that's kind of, you got to pay the consequences.
Well, similar to GSP in his run at the welterweight title when he was a title holder for a long time.
Yeah.
Very boring fighter, to be honest. He stopped taking chances after that Matt Serra fight. Just relied on what he could to get by. I mean,
True.
he hadn't finished a fighter in
Fair enough.
how many, aside from Bisping, how many fights has been since he finished a fighter? It's been quite a while.
Yeah, but I mean, he still had, I think, entertaining fights. Like, even though he never finished somebody, because it doesn't automatically correlate to you finishing a fight is like what makes you entertaining. Although that is the most entertaining thing to do, whether to submit or knock out your opponent. I also think that you can do a lot. Like the Forrest Griffin Stephan Bonner fight, like nobody tapped, nobody got knocked out, but that was a fucking war, man. Like they were just going.
Similar to the Korean Zombie, and I'm sorry, not Korean Zombie, Korean Superboy, and Cup Swanson.
Yeah, dude, that kid looked like he was like a baby.
Yeah, and they just went to war. I mean, there was no finish, but it was an exciting fight.
Yeah, it was very exciting. I like that.
Yeah, that was a good fight. But yeah, we'll see where DC goes from here. I think he's gonna lose to Miocic. He can use his wrestling against Miocic because he's a bigger guy, and Miocic is a wrestler himself. He'll have the speed advantage, but I think definitely Miocic should have the reach advantage.
Yeah.
And it's not previous, like when he was fighting heavyweight before, he was fighting guys like Josh Barnett.
True.
Guys that are a little bit on the older side.
Yeah. Where
versus Miocic is pretty much in his prime.
yeah, fighting somebody in your prime like that, I think is a real test to your skills. If you're just gonna fight a bunch of old fighters, unless it's Randy Couture or something like that, then freaking nature.
Similar to Weidman. I mean, we were just talking about this earlier. Weidman
Yep.
fought an aging Anderson Silva, fought an aging Vitor Belfort, and then he lost when he fought his first chance at elite competition. Which was Rockhold.
Yep. But now Rockhold is kind of going down too. Like,
I think part of that's just because of his jaw. He's always had a glass jaw.
Yeah.
I mean, Grant, whatever you want to say about him losing to Vitor, who was on the time on TRT, that's his own separate thing. But I mean, he got knocked out by Yoel, and he got knocked out by Bisping, and Bisping was never known to knock people out.
It's kind of like Joe Lozon. We were talking about that again tonight too. Like, you can't take that much damage. Like, when you start taking damage like that, I mean, Luke used to be able to take kind of a punch from some big guys, in his division. But then once he got knocked out, it just kept happening over and over and over again. And it's that one punch, man. It just fucks you up.
Yeah, even that fight against Branch, he got stunned. He got wobbled a bit. And Branch, again, isn't a knockout guy.
Yeah, true.
And the thing is that's crazy, he's going to go light heavyweight.
Yeah.
Where there's just killers there. Like, could you imagine fighting Gustafsson?
Fuck that, dude. I mean, when I was going, I was around that weight anyways, 205, and then I was 185, but I didn't like being in those divisions.
Those are animals.
Yeah. My last jiu-jitsu tournament, I was in the 215 division. And I did okay. I came out with silver, but there are some big guys, man. There's some beasts. I wanted to make that 215 cut because anything higher than that was like, it was like 215, 216 and above. So you can walk in there like 300 pounds and it'll be a fuck.
Yeah.
I'm done. It was like super, super heavyweight. And so I want to get back down to 195-ish and walk around at that weight right now.
And maybe do like 170.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I'll ever fight again, just because of my back in general. But
that's your goal as far as personal-wise.
Personal-wise, yeah. So even if I do ever make a run at it, which I doubt I will, I think I'm gonna live vicariously through Alika Boy. And he's killing it though.
He's got a bright future ahead of him.
Yeah, he does.
It's good that you're getting him into it young.
Yeah.
So I mean that's always good to do any kind of sport, but martial arts especially is always good to.
Yeah. Well, it taught him discipline. Oh, I taught him discipline early on, so it was easy for him to transition into something that requires discipline. And it, he's just such a good kid all around, and I'm so proud of him doing jiu-jitsu. Like this morning, he was like, oh, man, I don't know if I want to go. He was getting kind of, he just wasn't really into it this morning, and I was like, all right, come on, man. Like, just got to do it once a week. He's like, all right, Dad, I'll go. And then he just, like, went out there, and he was killing it, man. He just had such a good time. Every time he gets down there, like, he doesn't have to necessarily do jiu-jitsu. He can do any sport he wants, but he loves jiu-jitsu, and he's really good at it. And he's over at Mad Tiger Academy. Shout out Coach Eric. Get down there if you can. Mililani, right across the street from 24 Hour Fitness. It's the gym to go to. You want to learn jiu-jitsu.
So do you think, as a parent, how do you think about him potentially being an MMA fighter?
I think I'm more okay with that than him joining the military.
Okay.
If that makes sense. I mean, I was prior service. But I don't know. I don't know if I want to get into that too much. But it's just kind of, for me, I rather him not going to the military and serve with kind of the state of things right now. I mean, it's whoever
perfectly reasonable.
It's weird. It's so weird because when I joined, I didn't tell my parents anything. I just came home and I had a bunch of stickers for them. It said my son's in the U.S. Army, whatever. All the stuff that they give you to make you feel like doing the right thing. But I ended up joining out of the blue right after my birthday when I was eligible to join. And I came home and, man, my mom just started crying. She was like, what? You're going? She was happy, but she was sad because it was just right after the major wars had started over in Afghanistan and
Mm-hmm.
Iraq. So that's
Yeah.
kind of why I joined.
That was right after what 9/11.
Right after 9/11, a few years after, just a couple years. Um, but I don't regret joining. Um, it's definitely helped a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he has so much more not potential. Not saying that there's no potential if you want to do that. I think he can just do other things. And like for me, um, I wanted to also go to college, and I didn't want to put that on my parents. I didn't want to, and I wanted to learn some new stuff, and I wanted to go over there and serve and do my part. But because I did it, I don't think he necessarily has to do it. If that makes sense.
So pretty much you pay the dues for him.
Kind of, yeah, yeah. So he doesn't have to, and I know that's kind of flawed thinking in a way, because there's
Well,
always going to be an enemy out there. There's always going to be that, but I don't think,
I mean, not necessarily. You as a parent, I'm not a parent, but
not yet.
not for a while, hopefully. Um, as a parent, you want to provide for your kids and make them have a better life than what you did. So if you can make
Yeah,
a situation where he doesn't have to go to the military to pay for college, why wouldn't you want him to do that?
yeah, and and that's another thing too is like I don't I don't know how to describe it other than like I think it's after I came back from the service and I got out. For me, it was just like, why are we over there? Why are we involved in some of these wars that we don't necessarily have to be? I think there's a huge communication gap with the world. There's not enough trade. There's not enough. Um, there's a bunch of miscommunication, non-understanding, fear of the unknown that leads to wars that I personally think are unnecessary. And I don't want him getting caught up in an unnecessary war in the future. Um, Separate from the craziness of this administration. Um, I just think that in the future, I want him to feel like he has more options than just going into the military. And I know that's people even with options just want to go in and serve and do their part, and that's fine. I completely support that, and I love that people want to do that. It's very commendable. But just me personally, like even when I was in there, I went in, had a good time, did my job, um, and some part of me misses it, but I don't feel like everybody needs to go in necessarily. I know there's that mentality out there that everybody would gain something from joining the military temporarily, just for a little bit. Over in Korea, South Korea, they have that where there's a mandatory joining of.
If for any male, you have to serve at least 2 years.
Yeah, yeah, and there's other small programs. If you go to college and then you do your service, you can join under the Katusa program where you're a Korean soldier, but you're under the supervision of the U.S. military, and you get to work directly like with us in our chain of command and live on the base and do all the things that U.S. soldiers get. It's a lot harder for South Korean soldiers in their service. They don't get all the same amenities that
American soldiers do.
American soldiers do. So it's a good program to be under. But yeah,
I mean, that's valid points. I mean, going back to your point about why we're in certain wars, the bottom line is always money.
yeah,
Whether it be to procure a resource that we don't have, such as oil, whether it be to feed our, private companies that are lobbying these senators and representatives.
yeah,
Any kind of war uh, makes more money for the military industrial complex, such as Boeing,
yep,
a lot of the other private contractors.
sure. Yeah, and that's kind of where my thought is like. I believe there's always a time and place for the military and for wars, but I haven't seen any time recently that like it required us. I don't blame obviously the soldiers for that at all. It's our corrupt politicians in office that are perpetuating a lot of this stuff, and I don't really approve of some of that stuff, but I'm always in support of what soldiers do. I mean, they got to do what they got to do.
Yeah, I mean,
So it's not their choice.
a lot of soldiers go in the military to provide for their families.
Yeah.
You know, that sort of thing. So it's not necessarily the soldier's fault, and normally never is.
Yeah, it never is.
It's more based on the government that we have. I mean, the government's such influenced by private corporations, and which should never happen.
Oh, that needs to get out of there. They need to get rid of all the corporations and government and in the politicians' pocket and saying, oh, you know, if you do this and I give you all this money, then you're gonna, you know.
If you donate to my campaign to help me get reelected, I'll help, you know, pass some bills that are favorable to you, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and that needs to go. One thing that I think I talked about this on previous podcasts, was I really hope, and this is kind of how the Founding Fathers wanted the government to work. They didn't want any career politicians. They wanted it to be where it's a civic duty that you go and you do your time and you represent the people, and then you go back to your normal job, or you do it at the same time of your normal job. Mm-hmm. And like I tried to run a couple years ago under the Libertarian Party in Hawaii, and I couldn't. I was barred by the Hatch Act because it says that you can't run for a partisan office while you hold a federal position. And even now, like civil servant, I was not able to run, which is kind of strange because, like, if you're going to be running, and
if you win, wouldn't you give up that position to begin with?
Well, yeah, I would do that if I win, right? If I win, but what if I don't win? Now I'm out of a job.
Exactly. Like, so that really doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense, and it shouldn't be that way. It should be like you're able to run, but then if you end up getting elected, that you'll have to quit your federal position, which is fine. But I still don't think that there needs to be career politicians. I think we need to get rid of that because it keeps everything fresh all the time, right? The re-election happens every 2 to 4 years, depending on House or Senate.
Do you feel that there should be terms based on terms on senators and representatives?
Yeah, I do. If you get reelected, I think it's fine, but I don't think it needs to be a career. I think it just, you do your civic duty and you don't really get paid as much as you do. Like, you should not be able to do that. I think it needs to be like, because then it takes it out of the hands of the people where the voice should be coming from, and like the votes, and like, we're not telling the voters everything that they need to know. Politicians are voting on stuff behind closed doors, without
meetings.
Yeah, exactly. It's just silly. I really don't like it, and I think that you can get reelected, but it shouldn't be a career. It should just be something that, or if you do it for a career and there are no term limits, hypothetical term limits, that we're talking about right now, then I think that you still need to have your full-time job, and it just needs to be something that you're representing the people and whatever they vote on.
I mean, I think any office that you take, once you take it, you shouldn't be working at your job, just because you're gonna have a little bit of bias. But I do think term limits would be great. Maybe 3 terms. 12 years.
I mean, that still keeps it kind of fresh. In a sense, way better than it is now. But I still don't think that. I still think you should have your full-time job while you're doing this stuff, because, again, you're putting it in the hands of the politicians, not saying, okay, well, here's what we need to vote on, and then this representative is going to go and pitch our vote, like whatever it is, our majority vote, 50% or 60, 70, 80% of the population votes on this. That's all that they should be doing. There shouldn't be, and actually we probably need to figure out a way to get around that, even because like the whole representative thing, and that was back in the day when nobody had the means to go and vote at the main voting house where they were making all this legislation. Now we have internet, we have communication, anywhere in the world. Like,
the Founding Fathers made that system because not everyone could get to a town hall or to a state capitol to cast their vote.
Yep.
So you sent these people to
representatives.
Vote for you. Yeah. I think that even nowadays, like even the representatives that we elect, they vote mostly along party lines. Not necessarily for what
their
people. Constituents want.
Correct, and that's the thing. Like, that's a big issue, and it kind of goes back to what we were talking about with these corporations in the pockets, of these politicians. I think It's sad. It's despicable, and it needs to change.
It definitely needs to change. Shorter term limits. I think the government definitely needs to be downsized.
Yeah.
I mean, how many
For sure.
how many departments do we have, or how many positions do we have that could be eliminated?
Well, I mean, even laws, right? So the whole system that we have set up right now is you put a law in the books, and it's bigger than a novel, right? One law can contain so many different subsections, and you have 2,000 pages for one act or one legislation that you're trying to pass, and I think that's wrong too. It should be very simple, understandable, clear and concise. It needs to be that way because when you have these things where most people can't even understand the laws that they're doing, there's a problem with that. Even some of the politicians, like they've done live streams where they're reading the laws that's like trying to be passed.
Mm.
And they're like, I don't know what in the hell they're trying to talk about. What are they saying right now? It doesn't make any sense, and I think that's another problem.
That is definitely a problem. I mean, but then if you were to go that route, you would totally eliminate the need for lawyers.
No, there would still be criminals.
I mean, yeah, there'd still be criminals. You still have lawyers, but I don't think that they'll be in demand as much. If the laws were easy enough for everyone to understand, why would you need one?
Because you need, there's situations that arise in presenting all the evidence that you have against, a corporation or, this corporation caused this health issue for this, like these people. So you need to have lawyers that were well versed in not only understanding the situation, but being able to present a case. Lawyers are lawyers for a reason because they know how to talk, they know how to present data, they know how to, social engineer, I guess, in a way, to present their case in front of people and either making them understand what the situation is or presenting enough information so there's not enough evidence to convict or, whatnot. There's Yancey Medeiros.
Up in the background over
In
there.
the background right there. So, Yance.
Yeah, I mean...
Who's that? Martin Day. Yeah, that's Martin Day on the left.
I definitely think that there is definitely some changes that needed to be made for the in government to begin with. Definitely less influenced by private corporations. Definitely clearer laws and downsizing.
Yeah.
I mean, how much money does the government spend on things that we don't need?
Oh yeah, for sure. Now, do you what do you think about IRS?
I don't think it needs to be there.
Okay. What would you propose?
I would propose a flat tax.
Okay.
I'll propose for going corporations wise. I'm not well versed in corporate taxes as far as businesses, but for regular citizens, I'd propose a flat tax. I would say anyone that makes under $50,000 a year doesn't have to pay. Anyone over $50,000 a year pays a flat tax of 10% maybe.
Yeah. You mean just for income tax?
Income tax.
Yeah. They'd still pay sales tax and whatnot.
Yeah, sales tax.
Yeah.
I mean, sales tax is always based on the state.
Yeah.
So I mean, IRS obviously does federal. State does their own things to fund the state government.
Yeah.
But as far as federal goes, that's what I would consider.
That's interesting. Yeah. A lot of people have proposed a flat tax, and depending on what that level is, I mean, it's either cheaper or more expensive. It may seem a little cheaper with the percentages overall, but then you have that flat tax of when it all adds up, when they start calculating it, it's actually you end up paying more depending on what that flat tax percentage actually is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just throwing out 10 as a number. I mean, they would have to figure out what exactly the sweet spot is. It could be 8.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Could be more or less.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting.
I mean, that's what I'll propose.
Ooh.
Looks like he's got a...
Almost going for a triangle, setting it up.
Yeah,
armbar. Oh, no.
He's out of it.
Yeah. Bro, Hawaii has some good fights, man. I was supposed to be there tonight. I'm sorry, whoever is missing me there. I got a bunch of sad faces. I also run combat scene on the side, and I take a bunch of photography over here for free, just for people trying to get back to the MMA and the fight community in general, and I like doing that. So I show up there, show my face, and it's always fun to see people I haven't seen in a while or see the fighters, and it's fun. But with the UFC fights, especially with Max supposedly fighting, I ended up in this podcast that was supposed to, we had this scheduled for a while before I even knew about this X-1 fight. I haven't been paying attention. I've been so busy with everything else. This X-1 fight, I thought it was on a different day than the UFC and this podcast. So that's why I ended up calling it off. But I was supposed to be there. Sorry.
Some decent fights going on.
Yeah. I'm glad they're live streaming it. I told Drew, Drew's a cameraman, and he kind of handles all the social media stuff and all that aspect. I was talking to him, and when he told me that they were going to do a live stream, I was super excited. I was like, oh, man, thank you so much. Because I get to, enjoy the fights from the comfort of my own home.
Yeah, it's always nice.
It's always nice.
I mean, that's why attendance in certain NFL stadiums have dwindled, just because it's easier to watch stuff at your own home.
So we're, I don't want to talk too much about it because we are going to be having a podcast with the Hawaii, State of Hawaii Tourism Agency in context with the whole UFC deal falling through. We ended up reaching out to them, and we're going to have a podcast with them to have to kind of explain what's going on with the whole UFC thing kind of falling through. UFC was supposed to come here sometime this year. They were working on a deal, and it just came out that the deal had fallen through. Now, Dana White on the press conference a couple days ago, he said, well, I'm sorry, it's Hawaii's fault. So we're going to talk to the Hawaii Tourism Agency to try to see the board if that's really what happened, or get more details, try to build a bigger picture of what happened.
I believe they came back with the Hawaii Tourism Board came back saying that the UFC wanted too much money. They wanted something like $6 million. As far as a licensing fee. Yeah,
but granted, that's everywhere the UFC goes. They're going to Russia, they're going to Brazil, China. They've pretty much been, they haven't been everywhere in the world, but they've been a lot of places. And every place, regardless of their income, I mean, UFC, I don't think they changed that price tag. And I think they would have made that money back.
On the tourism board?
On the tourism board. I think overall, they would have made that money. And everything, every part of the people that would have come here for the UFC, I think they would have made a ton of money, way more than that price tag.
Yeah, I mean, they could have easily done something as, adding like a $3 fee on top of the tickets sold.
Yeah, just do something small.
You could have made the money back that way. And definitely the ejection our economy needs, as far as hotels, that sort of thing. Similar to when the Pro Bowl comes. Yeah,
exactly. But I don't know what the price tag of the Pro Bowl, having the Pro Bowl here is.
Well, the Pro Bowl is less, actually.
What, 3 million, 2 million?
I'm not sure the exact number. I'm sure you could talk to them. And
we'll find out. We'll find out there in the podcast.
Yeah, they'll be able to tell you exactly what number, each of them wanted.
Yeah. Oh, and remember, guys, we need tons of subscribers. Please subscribe. Right now, we have Monsanto. We have an official Monsanto podcast coming up April 21st at noon. We have 2 Monsanto employees coming in. And I believe we have Shaka and... hope I'm not saying this wrong, but I think it's Babes against Biotech. We're talking to a couple people that we're going to have on the podcast as well, but definitely Monsanto is going to be in the studio, and we are going to be interviewing with them, having a really nice, open discussion, thought-provoking discussion about anything dealing with biotech, the whole company, right? Biotech, big ag, pesticides, farming, whatever it is. So that's coming up, and I believe we're going to get Hungry Hawaiian from Instagram. He's going to be sitting down, and we're trying to link it up with our Easton James comedian show. So we might have both of them on at the same time, but we definitely need a bunch of subscribers. So please subscribe. We're putting out a bunch of content. We're talking with Miss Hawaii 2018, Julie Chu. She's tentatively accepted the podcast spot coming up sometime soon, hopefully. We have Bubba from Rebel Soldiers that we're talking with, and I believe he is just about to confirm with us. So, yeah, please subscribe. We have tons of content coming out. Sorry, I just had to plug myself.
That's fine. That's fine. But yeah, the Hawaii Tourism Board, I'm definitely interested in either watching you guys make it.
That'd be a sick show, man. That'd be cool.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting.
I'm really excited that about starting this whole podcast. High State of Mind, man. I've been talking to you about it.
We've been talking about it for a long time.
Years.
Yeah,
Years.
It's been a long time.
And fun fact, I actually registered the podcast channel a year ago. I had a bunch of stuff happen. My mom ended up passing away last year. I've been super busy, and it was April of 2017. I started the channel, but we've been talking about this stuff for years.
Then.
Yeah,
or probably before then, actually.
Probably before then. Yeah, way before then.
It was always various iterations, whether it be a gaming YouTube channel or
we didn't know what we were gonna do, and then
yeah.
and then finally it kind of came through, and it's been moving fast, dude. Like we're getting tons of guests on that want to just come on and like tell their life story or sit down and just have a different kind of interview. I've been so thankful, and it's really interesting I just want to talk to interesting people, man. That's all it is. So it's been fun.
It's been great.
Yeah.
Watching the podcast grow.
Getting new equipment.
Yeah, getting new equipment. I haven't been able to be on a lot of them. This is the first one I've been on.
Not yet.
Just because of things going on in my life as well. So yeah, it's exciting to see. Not babies. It's exciting to see it grow.
Yeah, it's been fun. So we definitely need the subscribers, though, man. YouTube did change their policy with the monetization and stuff. So if we are able to get monetized, we'll be able to do more stuff, upgrade the studio even more, and get more guests on. So if you guys can share this out, anytime we have a show, just share it out with all your friends. Make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications so that you are notified anytime we do go live. It really helps way more than you can even imagine. So
yeah, definitely subscribe. Share it out on Facebook, various social media feeds, let everyone know that this is going on.
Yep.
Definitely a lot of thought-provoking discussion with various people on various topics.
Yeah, all interesting people, and at least I can guarantee that you'll at least like one of the episodes. There's going to be somebody on that you guys are going to enjoy, and you're going to be like, damn.
Gotcha.
If you don't subscribe, you're going to miss it. You're going to be, damn, I missed that. Oh, but guess what? Everything's on YouTube, so you can always check it and rewatch. Stream live, save live.
So back to that topic you're talking about as far as government. I mean, I think part of the society, part of our issue is not only the government itself, but society in general.
Yeah, for sure.
What do you think we can do to help correct that?
I think education. I think people need to be educated. We need to be an informed public. I think that will help a lot. We don't have people being informed. I think there's been a dumbing down of America in a certain way, whether it's through technology, different types of education. And technology is, yes, it does contribute because, like with Facebook, for instance, even one of the creators of Facebook, he was talking about that dopamine release that you get
when you like something.
When you like something, or somebody likes your stuff, and they put it out, and it's so instant that you're just focused on it. Like you go to any restaurant now, and you'll see people staring at their phones instead of having a normal conversation. I love technology. I'm not dogging technology, but I think that there's a time and place for it, and I think technology has enhanced our lives. Like every piece of information that we can ever want to know is at our fingertips. We've never had that kind of power.
Compared to other generations.
Other generations, yeah. Like if you wanted to know what's going on in another country, there was not these live feeds or news all around the world. Mm-hmm. You know, you would have to go over there and witness it for yourself, and then read the newspaper, or there's a lot of the instant gratification that you get right now, or that instant sharing of news. is super beneficial to us as an entire people, as a race, and it's helped a lot. But I also think there's a limit to it. Like when you're out to dinner, I don't think you need to be looking at your phone. You need to be looking at the person across from you, the people at your table. You need to be looking at everybody who's sitting around you. Like you have to notice people, not just an avatar. You know, we are not made up. We are not avatars.
Yeah, I mean, I have a problem with that because sometimes I do that myself.
I think everybody does. I'm guilty of it. I'm trying to stop.
But I think the attention span has definitely dwindled. I mean, people consume their information now in in short tweets and short videos, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I think it starts with probably the education system.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, it's a multifaceted thing. I think for adults, it's definitely how we consume our news and who we get it from. Whether it's from a slanted angle, such as certain news companies that I will not name,
Yeah.
or with our younger kids, it's the education system. I mean, my sister told me a story about how one of the teachers in public school was teaching them to do a math a different way.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't make sense. It's like, why can't you teach it classically?
Well, okay, so I believe you're talking about Common Core, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, so Common Core is the new way to do math. Took me a little bit to understand it, and I'm actually pretty decent with math. But once I figured it out, it actually does make sense. I was against it for the longest time, man. I swear to God, I was like, this fucking guys, man, they're fucking us up. They're taking away the power from the parents to be able to know what the fuck is going on. I was really against it, but then I sat down and I learned it, and there's certain things that make sense, right? In math, in classic math, to come up with the equation or the answer to whatever equation that you're trying to solve, or whatever problem you're trying to solve, the way to do it, there's multiple different steps, but trying to explain to a child how, the whole process of an equation, borrowing from this set of numbers, right? When you're doing division, you have to borrow if it goes over or it goes under a certain amount. Trying to explain to a child why you need to do that, other than that's the way to do it, it doesn't make sense. So Common Core was trying to bridge the gap into math that made sense. So coming up with the same answer, doing it the classic way regardless, but solving the problem a little bit differently, that makes a little bit more sense. If that makes sense. I know that it's kind of weird
to wrap my head around. I haven't obviously seen it. This is a story told to me. So
yeah, and I hear you. I was with your sister and you when I was having those problems. I fucking hated Common Core, but some parts of it do make sense.
But how does that affect as far as I guess it's based on both basic multiplication and division. It's not something advanced as far as algebra or trig or calculus.
I don't know how far it goes. I can only talk on Common Core as far as
what Alika's taken.
What Alika's taken as far as basic elementary. He's in second grade now, and the Common Core is there. I don't know how far up it goes or how advanced it goes, but
just in general, though, I mean, I think the education system needs reform.
For sure. And, one of the problems is with the education system, how it is, I think there's lots of issues, and one of the main things that I think that could be changed is preparing kids for the real world. Not just teaching them stuff, because yes, understanding having book smarts is important, but right now, why is computer class or programming not standard? Why is that not part of Common Core? That would prepare them for the future, having a basic coding class, because if you don't know how to code in the next 10, 15, 20 years, you're going to be left behind, and you're not going to, everything's going over to technology in that sense. And if you don't have a basic understanding of how a computer works or coding, you're going to be lost in the shuffle. I mean, that's just my...
I think what needs to be done is schools need to figure out a way to find out what kids want. If a child's going through high school and it's they don't want to go to college, then instead of doing your common college core stuff, maybe do something where, hey, the last 2 years of high school, you learn how to be a carpenter.
Well, I mean, okay.
Or electrician.
Sure, yeah, real world
Something.
type stuff, and I completely agree with that. But like, why don't we have kids knowing how to balance a checkbook?
Yeah, I mean,
You know
simple
what I
skills
mean?
like that. Yeah, should definitely
Like
be.
real world situations, real world things that you have to deal with as soon as you get a job or get a bank account, go to college. Like college, 2 years or 4 years in college does not prepare you enough in the real world. I don't think it
It
does. Like
doesn't, because it doesn't give you real work experience.
correct, but I
You
think
learn
through
how
high
to do.
school, which is the most of your life,
Mhm.
early on before you turn into an adult, other than the parents teaching as well as the teachers. But I think if we were able to teach real world things in grades K through 12, I think society would be a lot better off and kids would be a lot better off.
I think so as well. I think that if you start preparing kids younger, they'll
Yeah.
be better prepared when they get to adulthood.
Yeah.
Definitely life skills such as, like you said, balancing a checkbook, just basic stuff as far as like how to take care of yourself.
Right.
But I think we need to figure out a way to figure out which of our kids are going to go to college, which of them are going to go into trade, and then start them young.
Yeah. Yep.
If you're not that great at book smarts, you're probably not going to do well in college.
Correct.
To be honest.
Yeah. No, for sure.
I mean, you may try hard and get C's and stuff like that, but do you think that that's going to be something, if you're going to have to try that hard in high school, I mean, it's going to be hard to complete your college work.
I agree. Yeah.
So maybe instead of doing that, maybe, like I said, it's better for you to get a trade that you can, at least help society with.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it gives you a foundation for a job when you get out of high school.
Well, yeah, for sure. And it gives you like those real world life skills like carpentry or some kind of trade would definitely help you in like any kind of position, even like repairing stuff at renovation at your own house.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives you exposure into those other worlds that you may not have. I understand they have like workshop, at schools and high schools and stuff like that, but I think it needs to start like even early on. I know here in Hawaii it's a little bit different than the mainland, as far as sometimes they'll have like a cooking class or a hula class or certain like growing self-sustainability with growing your own plants and fruits and vegetables and farming and stuff like that. So because that's a big part of Hawaii.
Yeah.
Obviously. So there is that aspect of it here in Hawaii that I think kids get a little better off. Obviously, depending on the school, depending on the funding of that public school. But overall, I think they're doing the right thing here, or trying to here in Hawaii.
Yeah, it's definitely different considering Hawaii versus the rest of the United States.
Yeah. And I mean, we're still pretty low, like overall, like
Yeah.
the scores that kids get. But
And I think that has to do with like the culture compared, like you were saying, from Hawaii to the mainland.
yeah,
I mean, I've been to mainland several times. I've been other places in the world several times, and just the culture is different in Hawaii.
Yeah.
It's a lot more slower, a lot more laid back, and a lot more relaxed, which is what makes Hawaii unique.
it does. Yeah.
But as far as
Scott Conn
preparing-
doesn't like any of that.
Yeah, no, he doesn't. as far as preparing, our kids and our students to handle real life,
Yeah.
it's not, it's not something that's productive.
Well, and it's not going to hurt them. If you give them something that is going to help them in the real world, it doesn't hurt them. It doesn't take away from any of the other education that they.
Yeah, they
they'd be
can
getting.
still take the history classes.
Sure,
They can still take
yeah.
the rest of the stuff that they need.
Right.
But then they're better prepared to,
Handle a real situation.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Exactly.
I completely agree, and that's kind of my stance on it. Is we just need to prepare these kids for a better situation, because as soon as they get, like with the new generation too, they're very entitled, and as soon as something goes wrong in their fucking real world situation,
Mhm.
they're like, oh fuck this, and they complain.
Yeah.
Like, I think you and I were probably part of like one of the last generations where it was like we had to struggle sometimes growing up to get certain things. Like
Yeah, I mean, nowadays kids are just pretty much given, or majority, I don't say majority of them, but
Yeah.
a lot of them are
And
given just things when they want them, or when they complain about it.
yeah, and I'm trying to instill in Alika, how I was raised, right, and just
Hmm.
to allow him to at least contribute better to society, and I think
Yeah.
doing an okay job. But I think there's a bunch of these kids. You see all these YouTube videos, Facebook. They're just nuts, and they're disrespecting their parents, and it all comes back to
Yeah, I mean,
home life, right? parenting.
I work at a retail company that's pretty big, and I see the parents in the stores just letting their kids run around and just wreak havoc.
Oh yeah, and they don't care. And then, or
Not only that, but then you tell them, "Hey, can you watch your kid?" and they look at you like you're doing something wrong.
right, but then sometimes they'll even get mad at their kid for acting like that, but they're not paying attention to him. And you'll see the progression of the kid, how he goes from like, "Hey mom, hey mom, hey mom," and then will like be irritating, and then start screaming, "Hey mom," and then like doing something crazy, and then throw something. Why the fuck did you do that?
Exactly.
You know,
It's
and I'm
because
like,
you didn't answer me.
you're not. They have to meet what they're gonna do, whatever they can do to get your attention.
Yeah,
Right?
it's definitely both ways.
There's that progression, and you can see it. And the ones that are good parents or not, like, I mean, the ones that are bad parents, obviously you see it a lot more. And then it's refreshing to get it from parents where you see it and they're like very attentive to their children and they understand, you know.
Yeah, but then again, you have to have the balance of being too attentive as well.
Yeah, well, obviously you need to be there to let your kid fall and fail. You know, I make sure to let my son know that I'm fallible and failing is not a problem. It's how you handle that failure
And what you learn from it.
And learn from it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Again, not a parent, so I can't relate to those kind of.
are you sure you're not a parent?
Yeah,
Are you sure
I'm sure I'm not a parent.
You don't have like 10 kids out there running around?
No, I don't.
No, you're a good boy.
But yeah, just society in general. I mean, it starts with our kids. I mean,
Yeah.
Just people that I've seen interacted with at work. A lot of them are younger. Just don't know how to really problem solve, and they don't know how to deal with adversity.
Yep. And as soon as they feel that adversity, they're like, "What the fuck do I do?" And then they just don't know how to handle it, and it's really sad.
I feel like common sense, in a way, has also gone down.
Again, well, that goes back to my whole situation or my whole thought of informing the public. We are not informed in the sense that, like, we have technology, we can go search and we can go learn about a bunch of stuff, right? You can do that on your own. But if you don't have that drive, obviously it's harder. But I still think instilling and like an informed public. I think we need an informed public, and I think that would help overall society be able to handle stuff. Like having all the information that you could ever have that's official, right, from the government, whatever we're passing a law.
But you can't trust half of what the government says.
Well, that goes back to another thing. Yeah, exactly. No, you're right. You're right.
I mean, you need to have an informed public for sure. And the problem is people don't care about that kind of stuff anymore. People care about when Khloe Kardashian's having a baby.
That's a problem.
Rather than what's going on, in the fight against, different things.
Yeah. Well, did you hear about what Khloe Kardashian's going on? Did you?
I don't
kidding.
care. I don't care, to be honest. But people are more focused on that, or instead of the battle against net neutrality.
Yeah, that's
which is, I think, is one of the most important things going on right now.
Yeah.
Is the battle to make sure that the internet remains neutral.
Yeah, and I mean, there's the argument that the net neutrality is fairly new, the law in place, right? Being a libertarian, I'm typically along the lines of the least amount of legislation is probably better, or regulation rather. But in this case, I mean, there's two sides to it. There's two sides of the story. There's net neutrality law has not been in place for that long, and prior to that, the internet companies did not really do anything close to the fears of the overall public, or the ones that were proponents of net neutrality in the first place. But should we, now that we had a law and now we've removed it, do you think we're more susceptible to internet companies actually succumbing to that? I mean, obviously there's greed. There's tons of greed in there.
I think so. I mean, the more power you give to a corporation, the more they're going to do to increase their profits.
Okay, fair enough. But
I mean, that's their obligation as a corporation, is to provide for their shareholders.
I agree with that, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be greedy. Because
what corporation do you know that's not greedy?
Okay, fair enough. But I'm not saying like just because they're a corporation doesn't mean they're greedy. Chobani, the yogurt company, that's a perfect example of a company that's not greedy. They gave back to all their employees, tons of their employees, tons of money.
That's true, but if you look at the corporations that are involved in this, such as Comcast, AT&T, Verizon,
right?
Cox, they've had a track history of being greedy.
They do, but that doesn't necessarily mean like you have Hawaiian Telecom, right? Yeah, for here, right? Hawaiian Telecom's not a greedy company.
They're not,
but they put out fucking amazing product.
They do. But I mean, if you think about it as a big picture term, I mean, how many companies are actually service people that way? I mean, a majority of America, I would say, is under those companies. I mean, my cell phone's AT&T.
Yeah, okay, but I think also there needs to be more variety.
There definitely needs to be more variety.
Like in some places, there's absolutely no variety at all. For the longest time, we only had Oceanic, right? That's it. Well, now it's Spectrum, right? I think Spectrum overall is doing a pretty good job in general, but I don't know their track record because they just came to Hawaii. Right?
Yeah, I mean, people that
looked into them
have had them, dealings with them in California or whatnot, will probably be able to speak more to their practices. And you're always gonna have people that don't like companies for whatever reason.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean,
but it seems like removing the law didn't need to happen. I mean, what was the disadvantage of having the law in place?
Not really. There wasn't a lot of, and I was a supporter of keeping net neutrality. I'm just playing devil's advocate, but I think
it was like removing. It was basically like fixing a problem that didn't exist.
Right.
As far as removing the law.
Okay. But what problem?
I mean, there was no like I said, there was nothing wrong with that law being in place. Like, who was it affecting? The only thing it was affecting was corporations could charge more money.
Right, but before that was put in place, what problem did we have?
We didn't have much, but then again, I mean, the internet has grown so fast and so rapidly, those kind of problems didn't exist then.
Good point.
The infrastructure that we had back then wasn't nearly what it is now.
Good point. That's a very good point because we did not have technology as huge as it is now. Like it did not overtake our entire lives.
Just think about 10 years ago.
Right now we have we have so many IP addresses.
Yeah, think about 10 years ago. It's 2018, it's 2008.
Yeah.
How many people had smartphones? How many people use internet in their daily lives?
Yeah. Well, the smartphones that we had weren't that good. They weren't even called smartphones.
When did the first iPhone come out? 2007,
8, something like that.
Well, no. Well, last year was the 10th year anniversary.
Yeah, so 2008.
Yeah, so basically that was the first smartphone.
Yeah.
Everyone was still using Motorola Razors.
Windows
Nokias.
Phone.
Exactly, Blackberries, that sort of thing. So we didn't really have internet in our lives as much.
Right.
So that's why they put the law in place because I guess they foresaw the rise of internet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then taking it back and taking it off and basically going back to where it was before. I mean, now that it's so widespread, it has a lot more impact on our lives.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I'm just playing devil's advocate on some of the other aspects that I've heard. I was a big supporter of net neutrality in general, even though I'm libertarian-minded and I want less regulation. I think that was a regulation that was beneficial more than not. And so when I look at laws, I have to consider, okay, so what's the pros and cons? Do the pros really outweigh the cons? And is this really going to help, or is this just going to cause more laws on the books? So that one I had no problem really supporting.
I mean, laws should always be there to make people's lives better.
And I also think there needs to be terms on laws, just like, how we're thinking that politicians.
Yeah, I mean,
terms.
well,
we need to have every year you need to upgrade the law. You know what I mean? Like put it in place for a year or two.
Mm-hmm.
Just let it see. And then if it's still required, then 2 years from now, then reapply
The problem with that is that politicians will use their parties to change laws if that was the case.
But right now we have laws go into place and then they're never off the books. We have laws that were put in place 100 years ago when they were required, only needed a year or two to be on the books, and they're still laws today, even though there has nothing to do with any of our situations now, and it either makes it more difficult because now you have 2,000 different laws to traverse before you get to like what you can do, right? You know what I mean? So there's that kind of situation too that I think.
Well, even then, like, I mean, you look at some of the laws in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. I mean, you look at some of the quartering laws, like, you know, no person shall be required to quarter a soldier. Like, when will that ever happen nowadays?
It may. That is still very relevant. Those types of laws I don't think are a problem. I mean, like Geneva Convention type laws, but like, especially the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. Those laws were put into place, and the way it was set up is it could be changed, right?
Amended
through, you know, three-quarters of the states voting on it. But those were still in, like, there was a process in place for those types of those types of amendments, or those types of amendments, I guess, to be updated and changed if current society deems it necessary.
Okay, to play devil advocate to your point, what law would you change?
Most of the laws that I would change would be things like that deal with charging people with crimes.
Okay, so as far as like classification
every day, on average, somebody commits on average 3 felonies a day without you even knowing that you're committing a felony.
Okay.
I don't. That should not. That's not right. And those are like those micro laws, micro felonies that if they're building a case against you,
they can throw it in.
They can just throw it in there just to get you. I don't think that's right at all.
Yeah, I mean that definitely doesn't seem like something that we would want.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't think of any examples off the top of my head of things I would change. I know there's a great debate going on right now about certain things such as, you know, Second Amendment, that sort of thing. But off the top of my head, there's nothing I can really think of that I would change right away.
Yeah, I don't think the Bill of Rights necessarily should be changed. The actual specifics of the Bill of Rights shouldn't be changed, but maybe how you get guns. I'm a supporter of more scrutiny going into or more
background checks,
due diligence in the background checks.
I think there needs to be more. I know a lot of it has to do with states' rights as well, and that's part of the reason why the Constitution's in place is to protect states as well. But I think there needs to be a standardized as far as gun background checks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
With gun control, I mean, there definitely needs to be better screening.
Well, yeah, and there needs. I mean, I'm not really in favor of a universal system necessarily, but if you don't belong to that state for more than X amount of time, where they can have a background check on you for that state, because there's no sharing of information. But I think if you do end up going into the jail system, your crime should go into a
national database.
National database. I know it gets hairy when I talk about national database. Just in general, like if you just pick up a gun, you go register, automatically it registers you for a national database. I don't agree with that kind of program, where if you are a gun owner, you're in the national database. I don't necessarily agree with that kind of program because I think it's pretty invasive. But I believe that maybe if I want to pick up a gun and I go across state lines to go pick up a gun, I don't think I should be able to.
Exactly. I shouldn't be able to go to Nevada and buy a gun and then ship it back to Hawaii with me when I come back.
Yeah. Now, I mean, if you're moving and stuff, I guess that's a little different, but I think you need to live in that state for a while, maybe 2 months.
So how would you deal with someone, say I live in Texas for 10 years, and then I'm moving with my family with another job to Seattle that has stricter gun control laws?
I believe you should be grandfathered in a sense.
As far as you were approved by Texas, so you're okay to have a gun in Seattle, or I'm sorry, in Washington.
Sure. I mean, I don't think it's necessary. Well, see, that gets hairy too.
Because if each
when you're
state
going
is
across
different,
state lines, there are stricter gun laws. I mean, you're still able. You have the right to bear arms no matter where you're at. But the stricter gun laws goes into like whether it's concealed carry or not, right?
there are certain types of weapons. That
Certain
sort of
types
thing.
of So, unless the state you're going to, if that kind of weapon is not allowed, which I don't think any state necessarily. I think that's pretty national, whether or not you can have a certain gun or not.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's specific states that have, oh well, this type of gun is banned here but not here. I'm not aware of any right now that actually do that.
So I mean, a lot of gun, I mean, gun control is definitely an interesting topic nowadays, based on what has happened in the past, couple of years.
Right.
People that are in favor of completely abolishing the Second Amendment are completely crazy.
And not only is it not going to happen, it's like it's never going to happen. That I don't see it ever happening. I understand that some people think that's crazy and whatnot, but it's never going to happen, whether people want it or not. I just don't think, because the Bill of Rights, in this country, it's considered a right, and they're not going to change the right. Everything past the Bill of Rights in the Constitution has a way for it to be amended, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think the Bill of Rights, I don't think anything within them is actually going to get amended. As far as guns go, anyways.
Yeah.
Because it's a right. It's not just the Constitution. The other amendments of the Constitution, the other articles of the Constitution. I don't know why I keep saying amendment. That's so stupid. I know this stuff. It's articles.
Yeah, amendments are things added in, such as voting rights and
I'm so tired. I am so tired. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Well, you're making sense for someone that doesn't know what we're talking about. So I guess that's good, right?
Yeah, I just fixed myself.
I definitely don't think it's gonna be changed anytime soon. For sure.
Right.
But I think that there definitely needs to be something done to help prevent the amount of deaths that happen by guns.
Right.
If we were talking about anything else, I mean, look how much deaths are caused by cars.
Oh yeah.
Or alcohol.
Oh yeah.
But you don't see people clamoring to change the alcohol laws.
Yeah. Oh, apparently. Hold on a second. There's somebody.
It's probably somebody we know.
Probably somebody we know. Yeah, you're probably right. Let me see here. Yo. Everybody on the chat. I can't believe. Oh, man.
What's going on?
I have not been paying attention to the chat at all. I have the chat up now, so I can actually see what you guys are saying. I apologize that I have not responded to you guys. But yeah.
Cool. So apparently now the chat's up.
Yeah. Apparently the chat is up now, so we can actually see. See. I'm just catching up on all the comments, so I apologize. Good job, Buenos.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Yeah, thanks for watching. Lionheart, what's up? See this shit down there. Oh, they shut down the Quick Pipe Pro. Oh, yeah. Right. All right, so we're back. Sorry, guys. Everybody who is watching, I appreciate it. Thanks. We're just shooting the shit with Bull here.
How's it going?
I know. So we're kind of reintroducing ourselves because now that we know that people are watching, feels kind of strange, man. We're being watched live.
It doesn't feel so strange. I mean,
yeah, we're getting there. We're watching the fights. We're watching X-1 World Events number 49, commenting on it. And yeah, I got the chat up. So if you guys want to hit us up, we're listening now. We're watching the chat.
Yeah, any questions? I mean, we started off talking about the UFC pay-per-view tonight.
Yeah.
So if you guys have any comments about that, we kind of veered off into totally right field from there. We went into just how we can improve society in certain ways. Hawaii State Tourism Board, a bunch of other different things. So if you guys have any questions about that or any thing you want us to talk about, just let us know.
Yeah. So Lionheart here was talking about the Hawaii Tourism Board shut down they don't want to do the Eddie anymore. Right?
Really, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, and the Quicksilver Pro, the Pipe Pro, they were turning that down as well. So it wasn't only the UFC. It's hitting a bunch of industries that.
But the question is why?
I don't know.
I guess that's why you have to ask.
Excuse me. Oh man.
That's what you have to ask when you talk to them.
Yeah. We're definitely gonna have them on the podcast. We're trying to make that happen. So if we do, send in your questions, man. Like I am not opposed to taking subscribers' questions. Anybody who subscribes to us, I'm definitely on board for asking anybody anything that we have on the podcast. Anything you want to know, just subscribe to the channel.
Do you have an email they can reach you at?
I do. I'm not gonna put it out. I mean, just hit us up on our social media. I don't like spam.
Yeah, that's probably. Maybe you should make a podcast email.
No, we do. We actually do have one. We just got one, and I don't know the exact terms. I'll post it for you guys to send to us. But
actually, you should probably make like a mailbag email.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Just something where people can, send you stuff that they want to see or something that they would want, like questions they want to ask, like guests.
Yeah.
That you have.
Monsanto is the big one that everybody had questions for. So we have a lot of questions from a lot of different people.
Yeah, Monsanto would definitely be a good one. I'm really looking forward to that myself.
There's a lot of questions that people have.
So, speaking of Monsanto, I mean, we have a lot of rise of different corporations and different, basically, groups. So, I mean, you have big ag, you have big pharma, you have big data.
Yeah.
All these kind of things. What do you think is something that we need to focus on first as a society? Do you think it's our health system? Do you think it's the agriculture as far as GMOs and stuff being put into our food? Do you think it's privacy as far as big data is concerned?
Well, there's a lot. I mean, I don't think like one necessarily supersedes the other. I think that I don't know if like big ag and those types of situations are necessarily as detrimental or as important right now to fix, as opposed to the healthcare system or the laws or the break that we have between, like, we have a disconnect between like the police force and the communities all around the country. I think that's one of the big important ones that I think we need to fix, just leading happier lives, because we have a culture of people that don't that are unhappy. Everybody is medicated. There's a pill for everything. There's a pill for everything, and it doesn't need to be that way. I think that we need to try to start fixing that, and I think everything after we fix those types of situations will kind of, there's going to be a trickle effect where it fixes other industries, and then we can start making things easier to implement for those changes that you were talking about it in like big ag or health or this and the other. Health is a huge issue, right? Mm-hmm. But
someone who's been with health issues yourself.
Yeah, it's a big issue, but I think I've been able to handle all my health issues under our current system, and I know that doesn't help everybody, but I think like our laws as far as nonviolent crimes or medical marijuana, I think that needs to change. CBD, we need to legalize a lot of things that will help people rather than just pushing pills down people's throats. It seems like the medical industry right now is not in the industry or is not in the business to cure.
Yeah, they're not in the business to cure. They're not in the business to help people. They're in the business of profit. Yeah. The more pills they sell, the more, the longer they treat your disease, the more money they make. Yeah. Yeah. And that's the bottom line of why, big pharma is such an issue. Yeah.
Well, I think it's a big issue, but I think a lot of people with like the GMOs and stuff, I think they're scared because it's the fear of the unknown.
Exactly, because you don't know the long-term consequences of it.
Or even, you don't even know like what benefits it provide, right? People are afraid of the GMO thing because they don't know if there's a foot being spliced with a cow ass. You know, like you don't know like what's going on. Like, and there's that fear of the unknown that because you either don't do the research or you don't know, and there's not enough information, or it seems like something shady.
Well, the question is, we don't know. Like, GMOs are relatively new as far as society is concerned. We don't know what their long-term effects on people are. We also don't know a lot of things about them. Like, we don't, an average person is not going to know what chemicals they're using to genetically modify these, organisms.
Right. And I don't. I think Monsanto does take a lot of heat for a lot of that situation, even though it's not necessarily. They've done a lot, and I'm ready to interview them. And
yeah, you can discuss the GMOs as far as that, and in the podcast with them. That's probably something better to touch on.
And I'll be more articulate and untired when I'm talking to Monsanto. So
that's great.
We're gonna get to the truth, guys. We're gonna get to the truth. And find out everything.
I definitely think there's a disconnect too. You're talking about the police force and communities now. I think there's a disconnect between the government and people.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the government nowadays is being run by people that are older. Like we were talking about earlier with as far as age limits or term limits go for government. I mean, these people have been there for how many years?
They have. So, I mean...
And just a disconnect in generations now as well.
Right.
The current working class generation, which is, your 20, let's just say 25 to 55-year-olds versus the people growing up.
Well, even, I mean, it goes to, like, the people that are deciding whether or not to put some of these computer enthusiasts in jail for something such as, like, violating the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, right? That's so outdated. That's from, like, way back when computers were not what they are today. And it doesn't apply to any of our systems that we have today, but they're still using that law to put people away. Like I forget his name. Man, that sucks for me.
I mean, I understand what you're saying. Like the laws need to be updated, either updated or changed.
Yeah, well, they're putting they're deeming people hackers that aren't hackers, that are just accessing systems that are public, for instance. And they're hitting their public website, like when AT&T, or not AT&T, AT&T was hosting all the iPhone and Apple products, because at the time, iPhone was only going through the AT&T, right? So all the users' information was open source. Like, if you knew where the server was that was hosting, you could just access it by adding, essentially arithmetic, adding 1 and then aggregating all the data. So you'd hit a page 1, 2, like ID equals 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up, and you'd
be able to access all the information.
Yeah, you could just take all the data, aggregate all the data, and you'd be able to find out anybody who had an iPhone, because it was all new through AT&T at the time. It was all open source. So instead of getting on AT&T for bashing or for making that all public domain, all that information, and because they said it was easier to access that information without having a password or
a way to secure it,
a secure system that was protecting that customer data, they just left it open.
Yeah.
And so
I mean, and that's not the fault of
the person who accessed it.
Yes.
It's public. It's available. It's open.
But shouldn't there be a limit as far as morality goes? Like, I mean, if you know that that information shouldn't be public, aren't you at fault for accessing it?
I think that goes. I think that's the responsibility of the company. I don't think it's the person who accesses it.
I mean, that's the responsibility of the company.
Yeah.
True, but it's also the responsibility of the person.
Fair enough. It is, and I
mean,
think
maybe the punishment shouldn't be as harsh.
I think, well, what he didn't do anything malicious. Somebody could have done it malicious, but what he did was, I think, the right thing. He ended up trying to contact the company. They didn't respond. He went to a news outlet. I think he went to a couple. I'll just say that. He went to internet news agencies or companies that ended up making news stories embarrassing AT&T.
So in retaliation, they went after the person that found it and basically got him in trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm guessing that AT&T itself didn't receive any kind of punishment. They didn't get fines. They didn't get any any tax breaks or they get taxed more or anything like that, right?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I mean, this.
I'm sorry. Go ahead and finish your comment.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Lionheart on here said, "Bro, we literally drink out of petroleum bottles. We are being poisoned from every angle, and we are willfully accepting it. And Monsanto probably does a lot of good and some bad, like super red tomatoes, but they taste like shit."
Yeah, I mean, some of these GMO products definitely don't taste better.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like I've tasted like an organic heirloom lemon, right? I fucking love lemons. Call me weird, but I eat that shit daily.
That's pretty weird.
I fucking love that shit. Love lemons. I like sour candy. I blame my brother who put a warhead in my mouth when I was 3 years old. I've been liking sour stuff ever since. Anyways, I digress. But you can taste any fruit and vegetable that's inside the market now, and you taste an heirloom one that's like original,
organic,
something
from
that's
market.
something fresh. And there's a huge difference in the taste and the quality. And I think that's a major concern that it changes food. And I don't like the taste of lemons that are non-organic, non-heirloom, that are GMO.
It definitely changes food as far as the taste, texture, that sort of thing, freshness.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good that some of these products are there to help prevent pesticides or making them more healthy, but at what cost?
Yeah.
That's what you gotta look at it for.
Yeah.
And again, this is something that Jordan will talk about with his interview with Monsanto.
I can't wait, dude.
Yeah.
I cannot wait.
So we don't want to talk about it that much because it's something that we can dive into deeper.
I'm gonna ruin it. We're gonna have a lot of people on that are gonna be. It's gonna be a nice back and forth, open discussion. We will have a lot of information, and we're going to try to get to the bottom of it in this type of scenario of open discussion. This has never happened, I don't think, in the history of Monsanto and the internet.
Yeah.
I've never had a situation where Monsanto has actually agreed to be on a podcast, fully transparent. And I don't know if anybody's asked. I think, you have a lot of these documentaries that people want to go and they start attacking right away during these interviews. And I'm not trying to do that. I want to have a civil, open discussion, very thought-provoking, to get as much information as we can and try to clear up some of the negativity that's currently out there. Or the negative, or what?
Try to get clarification.
Clarification, whether it's good or bad. I just want to get and maybe there's things that from the discussion that we have in the podcast that maybe Monsanto will take back and make some changes if there requires any changes. But we'll get to that during our podcast. Remember, April 21st, noon, Hawaii Standard Time. We are GMT -10. So update your calendars. Subscribe to the YouTube page. High State of Mind. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pleasure being on.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, no worries, man.
The fights are still on. We're going to watch them offline. We're going to continue. I know you probably got to go somewhere sometime soon. It's pretty late. So we're going to end this now. Thank you for anybody who's watching. I appreciate it. See you guys in a couple weeks when we're talking with Monsanto. We might do something next weekend. I don't know what yet. We'll plan something. We'll try to get a guest on that we've been... Well, we'll try to do something this next weekend. So we're trying to do something every week.
Yeah,
all right, guys.
Good.
Take it easy. Shoots. Thanks for watching. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Let's go.
That was cool.